Hello, welcome to an episode of Pittsburgh Backstage. Brian Crawford here, broadcasting from Mr. Small's Theater in the River's Edge studio at the River's Edge Facebook page. We're broadcasting live from there. Remember, you can listen to local music 24 hours a day at riversedgepgh.com. The River's Edge is Pittsburgh's voice for local music, a proud sponsor of the Millvale Music Festival. You can find out all of the scheduling information as well as an interactive map at millvalemusic.org. And today we have one of those bands in studio, a band who was in the old space at Millvale Studios, the now deceased Millvale Studios. Millvale Studios, who actually we had a funeral for the mannequin at Hahn Funeral Home because they're the only family-owned funeral home here in Millvale, and they specialize in green burials. We've got the Me Too's right here. They were there at the old studio. They're back in the new studio, and they will be performing at the Double L at 11 p.m., correct? 11:30 p.m. 11:30. I can't hear them.
Yeah.
There we go. 11:30 p.m. at the Double L, and that's going to be a lot of fun. It's a great space. Have you played there before?
No, I've actually never even been there.
Never been to the Double L.
No.
It's a great space. They have some good fried food. They have a great selection of alcohol, and they also have this great garage door. I remember when I moved to Millvale, that was something that they had just put in. So before that, it was just a wall, and it was dark in there. And they put this garage door that opens up to the outside, and just opened the entire place up. It's great.
Perfect for festivals.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And for last year's festival, they were so busy that people couldn't fit into the Double L. Like, not enough. Like, they ran out of space. So people were standing on the sidewalk listening to the music through the garage door.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. It was great.
That'll be good.
So it's a cool space. What's nice about it is they have a back door for loading and unloading. That's why they were able to get some bands in there.
Even better.
Yeah.
Very excited. So
the load in and load out is always the worst part.
Well, we're lucky with this slot. Playing the Double L, the Garter Shake will be playing right before us. So, like, for me, I've kind of called their drummer and said, hey, remember how we've always been talking about sharing gear? I'll get you the next gig. So I'm just going to show up with breakables, which will be nice, and help these guys load in.
Yeah. So just for everyone who's listening, on my left, if you want to say hello, we have Jesse.
Hi.
And then we have Kevin on my right.
How you doing?
So just so people who are listening to the podcast version can recognize the voices.
Yeah, I think we can differentiate the voices pretty
My Jesse
good.
Impression is crap. So.
Terrible.
Not good.
Yeah. He's doing it right now. He sounds nothing like me.
I forgot to bring my glasses.
So what have you guys been up to? I know I see you guys, the name popping up all around. You've released an EP recently, correct?
Yeah, we did a split single with the Spectres. What was that? That was back in April? Right?
No, our album release.
Our album was April.
Last April, we released a full-length album, Ghost Flyby, which was 11 tracks of new material. And we had, by the time we put that out, we already had half a new album in the bag. So we put one of those songs on a vinyl 7-inch single, and we partnered up with the Spectres, who we've been good friends with for a while now. So one side of the vinyl is one of our songs, a new song which will be on the new album. And the other side is 2 songs by the Spectres, because their songs are so fast. Like they were able to squeeze 2 songs in on like 3.5 minutes.
Yep.
And we released that. That was our split single release. And then we took a break, because actually the day that we released that album, my wife and I had a baby.
Oh, wow.
So I wasn't even at the gig for the actual release, which was pretty.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
has that ever happened before, where a band has released an album and one of the band members doesn't show up because of obviously legitimate reasons?
I don't know if that's ever happened before.
I mean, locally, no, I don't. Not in recent memory, but yeah.
But yeah. So
that was a funny phone call to you at 7 a.m. Yeah. I'm not going to be there.
Yeah. So we.
Now, did you use that as a selling point? Like, look how unique we are. Like, we're not even showing up.
Yeah. We're so cool.
Yes.
We're not even playing our own show.
It made for a memorable experience, because Lo-Fi Delphi showed up and played in our space.
Yeah, it ended up being a really good show.
Yeah, they're fantastic. They're going to be performing at the music festival as well.
Yeah, and that show was the Park Plan as well, and we also
and
the Spectres, of course.
Yeah.
So that was
the show ended up being really good. It was James. It was the now not around Jamestown.
Yes.
Or James Street.
So
It was
sad
in the ballroom. Yeah.
So sad to see them go.
Yeah,
we talked about that a lot here on this program.
I'm sure.
We had some of our best gigs at the Speakeasy. Like, we played some really
I
good shows
love
there.
the Speakeasy.
Yeah,
it was fantastic. Great. And I would go there before this network started. I was going to the Speakeasy. I'm a big fan of jazz, live jazz, and I would love going into the Speakeasy to see jazz performances. And that was the nice thing about James Street, is they were open all of the time. And there are a lot of other jazz venues, but for some reason the marketing there was really above and beyond, and it was easy for somebody who's not in the jazz community to find out about jazz performing and just just be able to walk into the place on a random night and find music.
Yeah, it was definitely a hit, them not being there anymore.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
Just real quick, too, while we're talking about James Street, because one of Roger Humphreys, who used to play at James Street, one of his best friends is actually in the neighborhood that I work at. And he told me that Roger and the guys are playing, I think it's Savoy on Wednesday nights. I'm just throwing that out there in case anyone's looking.
So that's where they moved the weekly session.
Yeah, the last time, his best friend growing up is in the area that I work in the north side, and he told me to tell, because Roger and I have met once or twice.
Yeah.
I'm a big jazz fan, but I can't play like Roger, but I've gone to see him a couple times, and Freddie was like, yeah, let you know that Roger and the guys are playing Savoy on Wednesday nights. That's where their new spot is.
That's good.
Until they find something regular again. So.
Because that was really tragic when that
Thursday night
session, the Thursday night jam session had closed. Because one of the great things about that particular session is you have this legend in Roger Humphreys who would come and perform, and all of these younger people in the community would come and play with him, and he really had an impact, or has had an impact, on so many young jazz artists in Pittsburgh. One of my favorite bands, they're now no longer together, unfortunately, I don't think, but they had, why can't I think of the Elevations? They got a lot of inspiration from Roger Humphreys, and even in their last CD release party, they had dedicated some of their music to him.
That's cool.
Which is really great.
And his resume is crazy. He's worked with some huge names and just kind of sat in with them, and
it was so amazing that you would be able to go there and see him for free every week.
And he's got James Street.
Yes.
Sorely missed.
Sorely missed. But we've got this going on here in Millvale. Lots of new stuff happening here.
For sure.
And it's really
this
great.
Is exciting, man.
We talked about the community at large in the Post-Gazette. I was talking with Scott Mervis, and we had talked about how you could see the number of music acts being booked in Millvale really triple since the first festival.
That's
awesome. It's really having a huge impact.
This is your second year,
area.
right?
It is.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
Around the time this year that this was really gearing up, we had just put out an album, and I mean, for me, my wife and I were in the midst of about to have a baby, so it was kind of like, Millvale Music Festival is happening, and then I remember checking the paper, and it was like, how many bands have they booked? It was like, holy crap, this is huge. And
how many bands do you have this year?
So what we're telling people is over 150 bands for 150 years of Millvale, but the exact number is 200.
Wow,
bands
cool.
performing.
That's awesome.
And that's over 400 that applied. So we have.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I do dig how you said how last year a lot of the bands that played last year, we love you, but we're not going to book you this year because there's all these other bands that we would like to give a shot to, and that's really cool. Because I was thinking, so if we miss out next year, that's fine, because it's all these other bands who we love that aren't playing this year because of some other reason that they,
Yeah, most of the bands that are returning to the festival this year either are solo performers, because the thing with Millvale is there are so many smaller venues that we have to book, so there's a lot of opportunities for solo performers to perform. Mm-hmm. And the other group of bands that return are bands that volunteer with the festival. So if you're volunteering your time to help us raise money throughout the year, then obviously we're gonna throw you a band.
We have to volunteer next year.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go. But Kevin, you were involved with the planning of Rant, right?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I was involved a tiny bit, and then Andrew from Lo-Fi Delphi took over, and actually Zombo took over, because I'll be honest, I mean, with my job and I was getting married, we were buying a house, and my wife and I we discovered we were pregnant. I kind of very quickly fell out of, and then also too, I was like, I can do all this stuff, and I have these connections, and then it was just like, Zombo knows, he's like, I already made half those phone calls already. I'm like, all right. So I just basically told Andrew and Zombo, if you guys need any help, I'm here, and so I would help hit the street and put up. I mean, that's basically what it came down to, was helping them try and stay organized if I could, and then just plastering the city with posters.
Posters and everything.
I would literally leave the office and on the way home go, I'm going to drive through Squirrel Hill again today, and just and go put up posters and stuff like that. So that was the most I could do at the time, unfortunately. So yeah, it was funny because as our music business, as this band was getting busier and busier last year, is my wife was getting closer and closer to the birth, so which was kind of funny that it happened right on the day when we were releasing our album, and then we took a 3-month break. So so yeah.
Yeah, but in the meantime, then we recorded a full length, or we're in the middle of doing that right now.
Yeah.
We should be finished with that sometime at the end of the summer, and then we should be releasing it probably in the fall. but like another 12 songs or so.
Yeah. We were going to try and do it within the year, and then we were kind of rushing and realized, wait, we
Yeah,
could
there's no
just-
reason to rush it.
Yeah.
There's no reason
Yeah.
to put this out within a year's time.
Yeah,
And-
so we're doing all the recording on our own, all the mixing, all that stuff by ourselves. So it's taking some time.
That's a lot. That's
Jesse, I'm guessing you're doing a lot of that based on the
yeah.
thumb.
The studio is at his house.
Okay.
The top of his house is the studio that we've slowly put together.
Wow, that's
And
cool.
So like
Yeah.
he'll have a night free and
Do you have air conditioning in the studio?
No.
no.
Yeah, that sucks, right? Because
Yeah,
our
okay.
original studio was in a closet in an attic.
Yeah.
At
That's
the
sort
place
of, yeah,
I was
yeah,
living in, and
yeah.
it was
I'll be honest,
horrible to try to just like cool down. You were so hot.
It would be weird though if it was like air conditioned and really nice. I kind of like that it's a bit stuffy and we have to like kind of work up fast.
Have you almost
Yeah.
passed out from heat exhaustion?
No, because I
in
like
there?
literally show up like in a tracksuit or like I show up in like running shorts and like a.
Yeah.
Well, where I was, we were in a little closet, and all of these electronics were surrounding me.
And they heat up fast.
They heat up fast.
Yeah.
It was super hot in there.
I was
My-
never in that spot.
were never
but
in the
I didn't.
closet
I
attic
didn't.
studio, yeah.
I think I did a phone interview with you while you were
when
in
I
the
was in there.
closet.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I could tell you were in
You
a
were
closet.
passing out in the.
Oh, it was horrible. There was one time I was sitting there and I started getting woozy because I was about to pass out. My guests couldn't fit into the closet, so they had to sit outside of the closet on a futon and use a wireless microphone to communicate with me in the
That's
closet.
right. I remember. Yeah, I remember heard a story about that. Like, yeah, I did an interview with Brian. It was great. I was sitting outside and he was sitting in there, but it was good. You know. That's funny.
Yeah, it was great. I remember when we were in there and Sarah, who's one of my business partners, she came in and she's like, "No, this is horrible. We gotta put up sheets and things like that so people can, don't see it." And I'm like, "They're coming into an attic. They're gonna walk through the house anyway."
Yeah.
But we quickly had moved from there to the Millvale studios, which was way better for us.
Yeah.
And then now we're here.
That was a
Yeah.
fun stuff. I mean,
This is awesome.
This is
really
great.
cool.
The last studio was good too. You know.
Yeah, the last studio was nice. The one downside to that studio is it still did not have climate control, and we had really hot summers in there and really cold winters, and I would have to put a heater on next to the
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I didn't take
the
my
desk.
jacket off at the last interview. I think I kept it on the whole interview because it was
probably
like,
because it was freezing.
it
in
was
there.
it was pretty
Yeah.
cold.
That was fun. I enjoyed that.
It was a
Yeah.
beautiful space, especially with all of the art coming into the space, which
Yeah,
was
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
But eventually, after the second summer, actually after the first summer, towards the very end, the equipment started getting a little wonky because of all of the humidity and the heat.
Yeah.
So you guys are based now in the space.
Yes, this is a
Okay, good.
permanent space for us here at
This is-
Mr. Smalls.
That's great.
And when we were there, though, the equipment started getting wonky, and I started leaving the door open because there was a big air conditioner in the main room. And Sarah, again, brought up a good point. She's like, well, what if somebody steals the equipment because the door's left unlocked? And I told her, I said, well, that's a good point, but if the equipment all dies from this heat and humidity,
Right.
then it's not going to be
You don't
worth
have to
anything
show. Yeah.
anyways.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, all of this equipment was the original equipment, except for the soundboard. So the soundboard just, it's going through a process to get fixed. It broke. We transitioned to this wonderful X32.
Very
But
cool.
all of this equipment, yeah, it lived through the fire. It survived the fire, which, if you think about it, is a miracle.
crazy.
Because we had all of
Yeah.
these CDs on the ceiling, local artist CDs,
Yeah.
and they had melted. So the fire was hot enough to melt the CDs, but somehow the equipment all survived that heat.
That's
meant
crazy.
to be,
that's
man.
Yeah.
That's wild.
The river's edge was meant to move on.
It was, meant to live on. So what do you guys have going on right now with the Me Too's?
So we're doing the album thing, but the big show this summer, we're opening up for the Posies in June.
Yeah.
So it's June 19th. That's going to be a really cool show. That's at Club Cafe.
Mhm.
June 19th,
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
We'll be on for a good 20,
Good
25 minutes.
25 minutes,
Very
and then- yeah,
solid, super fast
Yeah.
25 minutes, and then we're off stage.
Yeah, we
so.
were excited just to go see the Posies. But then I just thought, well, let's just ask if they
Yeah.
needed a...
Because that's a bit of band I've loved since like
Yeah, yeah.
literally 1993, 94. And when he said, we're going to email them and see if we can open for them, I'm like, that's
Yeah, okay.
never
Yeah,
going to
sure.
happen.
And they're like, yeah, sure, sounds fine.
Yeah.
Great, okay.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
really? Okay.
It was just that simple. And since then, like, I mean, even before that, I'm like, through friends of mine at Get Hip, like, I'm friends with some of the guys in the
Yeah.
band on Facebook.
That place is really growing as well. which
Get
is
Hip
cool
is,
to see,
yeah. So, well, it's like the first time I ever met Greg and Barb, I did this like one night tribute to the band Big Star, which is a band that Ken and John from the Posies were in the 90s. And like at the end of that night, Barbara came up to me and she's like, "Yeah, I messaged Ken Stringfellow and sent him a video clip. He said it sounded great." And I was like, "Oh, that's wait, you what?" And she's like,
You did?
"Oh yeah,
Huh?
we've been friends for a while." So like when he came through in October, he messaged me and said, "Hey, you coming out?" And I like texted him a picture of me holding my son, like, I'll see you next time, man.
Yeah.
So for us to be able to open for them, and especially, I mean, they've been such a huge influence on me. This is like, it's a really big deal, and so we're really excited for that. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, we actually, I used some of the Posies songs as like reference material for the newest stuff.
Oh,
I'm
nice.
mixing. So.
Yeah, because a lot of the stuff we've been writing since the last album has been a bit more kind of, I've been saying like garage pop, because the last album was a lot faster, a lot like, it had some really fast tracks on it, some slow tracks, where this album has a lot more hooks to it, a lot more double vocals and triple vocals, and you know, we've been trying to, just like kind of more in that style of the Posies, Matthew Sweet, that early 90s kind of power pop sounds, you know, but like with really gritty guitars, and so it's like a lot of it's some pretty good like big overdrive guitar sounds.
It's just a little bit bigger than.
Yeah. So we were
Just a
trying to make
bigger
something
sound.
a little bigger than that, and like so, Frosting on the Beater was an album that we listened to, and we was just like, that's a good reference point. And
Yeah.
I was listening to a lot of Big Star, of course, and a lot of Elvis Costello and stuff like that. So
Awesome.
you know,
Very cool. Well, that will be, you guys will be at the Double L Bar.
Double L.
11:30.
May 12th.
Close
show
it
up a little
evening.
early too, because Garter
Yeah.
Shake will be there. We've been jokingly saying it's last call with the Me Too's at the
Yes.
Millvale Festival, because I literally think we're the last band playing that night.
There's one other one after you I can think of.
Oh really? Oh
and
shoot.
it's a
I
really
was-
cool story. No, that's okay. You may be the last.
Oh wait, there's
call
a
at the
band
Double L.
playing after us at the Double L.
Not at the
or-
Double L. No, at the
Okay.
Double L, you're the last ones.
Okay.
So that works for your stage. But no, there's one band, Chillent, and it's a cool story because they're all Jewish, and there's a Jewish holiday that day, and they can't perform on May 12th, so they're performing on May 13th after midnight.
Oh,
that
that's
works.
awesome.
Yeah.
Where
Where's
are they
that
playing?
That's going to be at Panza Gallery.
Okay.
Which is right on Sedgwick Street. So if
Oh,
you
okay.
know where the Art on Sedgwick Art Festival is going to be, which
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
look at, you can find that all on the map at millvalemusic.org. We have an interactive map that
That's
connects
awesome.
with Google Maps, and you can actually get voice notification to all of the different bars. You can also see where the shuttle service route is and where
That's
parking
really
locations
cool.
are,
That's
as well
awesome.
as
So basically,
bike
right
locations.
after we're done, everyone run down the street
Yeah,
to see
yeah.
these guys.
Yeah,
you
that's
could
awesome.
run. Yeah, exactly. It's not a far walk at all.
Yeah, Millvale's super walkable.
It's
Yes.
it's-
That's one area where I feel everybody in all of these festivals does a great job, but there is one advantage that we have over everyone, and that is our geography.
You
And
guys, it is kind of boxed in, so it makes it easy to walk around.
so
and
easy
see
to walk
everything.
around. Like for example, Lawrenceville and Deutschtown, wonderful communities, very long communities.
Yeah.
Whereas Millvale is mostly a square.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
really
Yeah,
easy,
yeah,
and I think it's in the festival. I think is probably the only time ever where you can say that Millvale's geography is a huge plus. And it really is. It helps us
It does
out a
work out
lot.
well, yeah.
It does.
Exactly.
So that is the Me Too's. They're going to be at 11:30 at the Double L Bar. We're going to play All My Creatures, which is a song we have of your guys in rotation at riversedgepgh.com, where you can listen to local music 24/7. We're going to wrap up with that. I am Brian Crawford. I will be at the Pittsburgh Food Truck Park tomorrow night, 5 p.m. to kick off opening night for the Millvale Music Festival. Very happy to be hosting that stage. And again, it's a real. If you have listened to some of our previous broadcasts, you'll know it's a really special night because we have the Optimists opening up, and they were performing at Panza Gallery the first time I met my business partners. So they were there at the very beginning of the River's Edge, kind of transitioning from a podcast to a radio station, and they're going to be with us as we go into this new venture, opening into a 2-day festival starting off at the Pittsburgh Food Truck Park. Thanks so much to Nick Grabiel behind the board, my engineer. Thanks to the Me Too's, both Kevin and Jesse, for coming into the studio and talking with us before the festival on Saturday night. I'm Brian Crawford. This has been Pittsburgh Backstage, where we talk to local musicians and get the behind-the-scenes scoop of what they're thinking and what they're doing right here on Pittsburgh's Voice for Local Music, The River's Edge.
Hey, hey, mama, don't you treat me so mean. You're the meanest old woman that I ever seen. Oh. I'm a guy that walks around there. I can see everything that happened then. Oh. creatures, and all my children love your features. Oh. Look at me, happy again, bundle of joy, so happy again, oh.